watching Nice Eyes.
Whether you know it or not, you've probably been touched by Jennings Osborne's generosity in some way. Maybe it was with millions of Christmas lights or Razorback barbecues or 4th of July fireworks. But tonight, it's not about what the Osborne family gives, it's about what they're getting back. If you love animals, so does Jennings Osborne. His $400,000 gift helps save the Pulaski County Humane Society. If you sympathize with storm victims, so does Jennings Osborne. Arkadelphia was one of many communities where Osborne has showed up unannounced to help feed families in need. If you love kids, so does Jennings Osborne. He has paid for murdered children's funerals and provided birthday gifts for countless kids who happen to be hospitalized on their big day.
Beef ribs, pork tenderloin.
If you like to eat, so too does Jennings Osborne. His barbecues at tailgates and other events are legendary. If you enjoy fireworks, so does Jennings Osborne. He bankrolls July 4th fireworks so Central Arkansas can have a big night on Independence Day.
2, 1.
And Osborne's love of Christmas lights proved so large that it took Graceland, Disney World, and countless small Arkansas towns to satisfy. His kindness is random, his generosity often anonymous, his heart big but weak.
Last summer, he had a heat stroke when he was mowing. His favorite thing to do.
Jennings Osborne was diagnosed with diabetes in 1988 and had heart surgery in 1996. After the heat stroke last August, his wife MITZI convinced Jennings to see a doctor. Turns out he had also suffered a heart attack.
It was the valve. His aortic valve needed replacing.
That meant another surgery, which Jennings underwent on April 18th. His heart actually recovered well.
And that did great, and it just... Some of his organs just were stunned, I think, by is what they called it. It stunned the kidneys, and it takes a while to recover from something like that, especially after you've had one before.
Jennings Osborne has now been hospitalized for 100 days.
So we do ups and downs. It's like 2 steps forward and 1 back, or sometimes it's 2 back and 1 forward. It just depends.
One of the pivotal moments for me is when they had opted to do a tracheotomy, so he's breathing. They've got the tube through his throat, so eventually he could speak, and they put in a speaking valve, and when they do that, it's life-changing for me to hear his voice.
This long road to recovery for the Osbornes has turned into a little bit of a role reversal. The man who took pride in giving to others.
I would love to go into a small town and create memories and make people just talk about it for weeks.
Is now on the receiving end of love, prayers, and support from all walks of life.
Jimmy Carter has called 2 or 3 times, which I think is kind of neat. And President Clinton has written him a note. Governor Huckabee's been up to see him.
Whether from political leaders or school children, these kinds of messages are what inspired Jennings' only daughter, BREEZY, to create a fan page of sorts on Facebook so that even more people can share their stories.
It has motivated him in ways that we didn't realize, and I'm just so blessed that people are writing to him. He loves it.
MITZI and BREEZY read every single comment with Jennings, and they believe with all their heart that these messages make a difference.
Nothing's impossible. Sometimes the Lord just lets it take a little bit longer till you get it right. He wants it perfect. He doesn't want him going out of there just, we've got to have it right.
And he may not have been talking about his own health back then, but there's no doubt that Jennings agrees.
But to me, nothing's impossible. You can make anything happen.
Even teaching a family that has only known how to give, how to receive for the first time.
And so for us to ask for prayers and to ask for just to think about us, that's hard asking.
That is.
But it has tremendously helped him in the most incredible way.
You got that right.
Now, Jennings remains in critical condition at Baptist Hospital, where the family says they have received exceptional care. And we have linked his Facebook page to our website, as well as several other stories that we have done on the Osborne family over the years. It's sure fun to go down memory lane. Just go to KATV.com.
He has made so many people smile and so many stomachs full
Yes.
over the years. There's no question about that, and we pray for his well-being tonight.
Good evening, and thanks for watching on this Wednesday. I'm Scott Inman.
And I'm Beth Hunt. We begin tonight with very sad news. Philanthropist Jennings Osborne has died.
He had heart surgery in April and had been in the hospital ever since. And yesterday, we're told his condition took a turn for the worse. Christina Munoz is live in our newsroom tonight with details. Hi, Christina.
Well, hi, Beth and Scott. As you know, he was a friend to political leaders and children alike. But in the end, his big heart just wasn't strong enough. Jennings Osborne had had his share of health problems. He was diagnosed with diabetes in 1988 and had heart surgery in 1996. Then last summer, he suffered a stroke, and although his family says he refused treatment, his wife, MITZI, finally convinced him to go to the hospital for fluids. Turned out he had also had a heart attack. He recovered fully then, but around Christmas time had some trouble breathing. That's when doctors told him his aortic valve needed replacing. He went in for his second heart surgery on April 18th, and MITZI says at that time the heart actually did well.
And that did great, and it just some of his organs just were stunned, I think, by is what they called it. It stunned the kidneys, and it takes a while to recover from something like that, especially after you've had one before.
Now, Jennings was in a coma for about a month following surgery to let the rest of his body heal. He had been doing better in recent weeks, but took a turn for the worse yesterday. His family says he put up a good fight, but was just too weak to recover. Now, tonight at 6 o'clock, we will have a look back at Jennings' life and the incredible ways that he touched so many lives. But first, we just got a statement in from his one and only daughter. BREEZY Osborne says, "My father was an amazing man who all my life showed what a big heart he had for everyone, young and old, and regardless of background or wealth. Sadly, my father's big heart finally gave out, but knowing my dadu, as she always called him, there will be fireworks at the gates of heaven. We want to thank everyone from Arkansas and across the country for all their well wishes and prayers. It meant so much to my dad, me, and my mom." Beth and Scott.
He touched many lives, for sure. Christina, thank you very much.
He did, and Osborne leaves, of course, behind his wife MITZI and his only daughter BREEZY and son-in-law Tristan. Jennings Osborne was 67 years old.
Good evening, and thanks for watching tonight. I'm Scott Inman.
And I'm Christina Munoz. We start with some sad news tonight. One of Arkansas's highest profile philanthropists died today. Jennings Osborne passed away this afternoon at a Little Rock hospital following complications from a heart surgery about 3 months ago.
Osborne was born in Fort Smith in 1943. His future wife, MITZI, was born in the same hospital just 3 days apart, and their families lived only 13 blocks apart, but the two did not meet until the 9th grade. They started dating in college, and after only 4 dates, got engaged. The Osbornes were married on November 13th, 1965. 3 years later, the couple founded the Arkansas Research Medical Testing Center, a business that tests the effects of new drugs on human patients.
I can work 20 hours a day and enjoy every minute of it.
The Osbornes made a small fortune there and then made their lives all about giving back, and even challenged others to do the same.
We just wanted to challenge everybody, we try to give back a lot and challenge somebody else to give back.
The Osbornes most enjoyed giving to those that needed the help but would never ask for it. The abduction and murder of 13-year-old Casey Woody devastated the Faulkner County community. It was the Osborne family who paid for the entire funeral. In 2001, the holiday season looked dim at the Pulaski County Humane Society. Funds were so low, 13 workers were about to be laid off. It was MITZI and Jennings who came through with a $150,000 donation. And many Razorback fans will remember the long lines that went with the popular barbecue feast that included 11 pounds of food that Jennings himself would dish out to tailgaters. But the most memorable image of Jennings has to be his extravagant Christmas light display that started as a gift to his then 6-year-old daughter, BREEZY.
I'm a big dreamer. love to dream. A lot of it comes true.
By the early 90s, it included 3 million light bulbs and could be seen from 80 miles away. But not everyone was put in the holiday spirit. Traffic snarls along Cantrell spurred a lawsuit from neighbors. It was a battle that went all the way to the Supreme Court, which in 1993 shut down the mammoth display, citing a public nuisance. The Osborne family channeled their passion for Christmas into lighting up 34 Arkansas cities as well as Graceland. The millions of lights that once adorned the Cantrell compound are now one of Disney World's largest attractions. In 2004, Jennings sold his business, but he certainly did not retire from working or from giving, for he truly believed that to whom much is given, much is required.
That would walk through fire to help a stranger. So you can imagine what I'll do for my family.
And Jennings Osborne was 67 years old. He leaves behind his wife, his daughter BREEZY, and her husband. Now, BREEZY released a statement today saying, "My father was an amazing man who all my life showed what a big heart he had for everyone, young and old, and regardless of background or wealth. Sadly, my father's big heart finally gave out." She went on to thank everyone from across Arkansas and the nation for all their well wishes and prayers. Well, one of the men who worked closely with Jennings Osborne over the years, former Little Rock Mayor Jim Dailey. Dailey says he never knew anyone who gave more to the community.
We caught up with him shortly after we learned today's news.
When I got the word, I mean, it was like, it just knocked me out of my chair, because I know we were all praying for Jennings in the hospital and counting on his return to bring that new business to the significance that he had in his earlier business. So, I mean, I'm still in a little bit of shock since I just found out about 15 minutes ago.
And the reaction continues to pour in tonight. Governor Beebe releasing a statement this afternoon, too, saying Osborne brought comfort and entertainment to countless people. And while he's a larger-than-life public figure, he was also kind and always shared his financial success with others. Well, Arkansans who have been touched by Osborne's generosity are sharing their condolences on our website and on our Facebook page.
And here's an example of just a few of them. Gary writes, "The world, and especially Arkansas, is a much sadder place today. To the Osborne family, I am so sorry for your loss." And Andrea writes, "An amazing man who did so much for so many. He is in a very special place. Prayers to the Osborne family."
Well, as you saw in that piece a moment ago, Jennings Osborne was known for giving generously and living extravagantly. He's probably best known for those huge Christmas light displays.
Channel 7's Matt Johnson joins us live from the Osborne estate along Cantrell Road. Hey, Matt.
Hi, Christina. Well, the iconic Osborne house is eerily quiet today after the passing of Jennings Osborne. Now, a family friend and co-worker is here now dropping off some of his final possessions from the hospital. But if you take a look around, it's still hard to believe for some friends that Mr. Osborne won't be roaming this lawn with his favorite two dogs, Lily and Lucky. Now, the family sends their thanks and they appreciate all the prayers that have been sent out for Mr. Osborne. Mr. Osborne first made international headlines with massive Christmas lights displays here in the 1990s before those were taken down. The state is definitely mourning today the loss of so many lives in Arkansas, and we'll have a full report featuring some of the people whose lives Mr. Osborne did touch throughout his career. Back to you.
All right, Matt, thank you very much. And just last night, we sat down with MITZI and BREEZY, his wife and daughter, and talked about the struggles that he has been going through. All of those stories, including all of the comments that are coming in today about Jennings Osborne, are on our website. Just go to KATV.com. Arkansas mourns the loss of one of its great philanthropists. Jennings Osborne died this afternoon. Good evening and thank you for watching. I'm Christina Munoz.
And I'm Scott Inman. Osborne was known for his great generosity, whether it was his massive cookouts or his extravagant fireworks. The wealthy icon was loved by presidents and governors and by the common Arkansan. He had spent the past 100 days in the hospital after heart surgery in April. Channel 7's Matt Johnson. He is live tonight with reaction from some of the folks he helped along the way. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Scott. Well, whether it's family, friends, or complete strangers, you don't have to look far to find someone whose life he's changed forever.
My daughter could actually, she made it through a heart surgery that Otherwise, she might not have made it through.
Michelle Norris says her 3-year-old daughter is alive today because of Jennings Osborne. Little Kaylin was born with a heart defect and needed an expensive surgery to save her life.
The Osborne family had donated money to Children's to help my daughter and all the other kids.
His donation to the special care nursery at Children's Hospital paid for treatment that no one else could. She was a complete stranger, but Osborne's random acts of kindness were what friends say will live on longer than the legend of his lights.
He always said, Barrett, the more you give, God will give back to you. Him and his wife always said that to me, and I think what he means to the state of Arkansas is just don't give up.
Now, as hundreds drive by his iconic White House on Cantrell, they will pay their respects. The house may never be the same, and thankfully, neither will the lives of people like Michelle Norris.
I wish that there was a way that I was able to, help their families somehow the way they helped me.
Now, talking to people today about Osborne, there's one sentiment they all echo. There's no one who had a bad thing to say about him. Scott.
Matt Johnson last night. Thank you, Matt.
Well, some of you may know him well, while others may have just heard of the name. So tonight, a closer look at the man that could have had almost anything he ever wanted and yet wanted to give to others more than anything else.
Fort Smith natives Jennings and MITZI Osborne made their fortune by building the Arkansas Research Medical Testing Center. And although eccentric and extravagant, their generosity was what stood out the most.
He never forgot to continue to give while at the same time building one wonderful business and being part of, I'll say, one of America's best families with Jennings and MITZI and BREEZY.
BREEZY was actually the reason for what became a highly publicized and controversial lawsuit. She was just 6 years old when her dad started to build a Christmas-like display that ended up including more than 3 million lights. Although magical to thousands of Arkansas kids, the Supreme Court called it a public nuisance, and a devastated Jennings had to take it down. But the larger-than-life lights were and continue to be more than welcome at Disney World and at the King of Rock and Roll's home.
He loved Elvis. He loved the story of Elvis's life, maybe in some ways related to it. Because he had become so successful, and he related to Elvis's generosity, and he just, Jennings was just absolutely lived to be generous.
And he wanted to give back, and he was pretty smart to realize, how can I give back to the common man where they don't have to pay for it? So what about Christmas lights? What about barbecue and fireworks? I loved it. He used to say, those are the three. I mean, those are the big three.
Governor Mike Beebe calls Jennings a larger-than-life public figure, but also a kind and soft-spoken man who always shared his financial success with others. And from President Bill Clinton, Jennings had a big heart and gave so much to so many people throughout his extraordinary life. And former governor and good friend to Jennings, Mike Huckabee, says his generosity to others was never about calling attention to himself. It was about wanting to make people know they are loved. It was one of the ways he expressed God's love. He had the biggest heart in the world. He used it mostly for others. It finally gave out.
He will be missed. Jennings Osborne was 67 years old. A unique and fitting funeral service today for Little Rock philanthropist Jennings Osborne. Osborne died on Wednesday from complications following heart surgery. Not only was today's service a celebration of life, but also a time for friends to do one of Osborne's favorite things, laugh.
He was generous with his money.
But he taught me that it was okay to laugh in any setting. The past few days I find myself saying jokes that probably are not the most appropriate and don't have the best timing, and laughing uncontrollably because I know what Dad would have said under his breath. I remember when we traveled to Europe a few years ago.
Now, Osborne's daughter, BREEZY, was one of several speakers, including President Clinton, Governor Huckabee, and Jimmy Carter's wife, Rosalind Carter. You can hear more from them tonight at 6. And a tribute video that was also played at the funeral, we'll share with you more of that at 6. And you can see that entire video and more on the life of Jennings Osborne by visiting us at KATV.com. Well, it's not often that there are more laughs than tears at a funeral service, but that sure was was the case today as the state said goodbye to Little Rock philanthropist Jennings Osborne.
Christmas to remember.
Not every funeral includes Christmas lights.
Oh, my God.
The king of rock and roll. Standing ovations and laughter. But for a man that lived his life in over-the-top, elaborate ways, it was a fitting tribute.
It's always appropriate to share scriptures at funeral services. And I thought of one. Philippians chapter 4, verse 5. Let your moderation be known unto all men. And I realized that doesn't fit at all. But this one might. John 10, verse 10. I'm come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly.
Jennings Osborne's lavish giving was recalled by all the speakers, including Jimmy Carter's wife, who shared a statement from the former president, who is recovering from surgery.
Jennings Osborne was one of the most remarkable people I have ever known. He was a stalwart friend of our family, all 32 of us, and indeed of our entire Plains community.
He was flashy, and he kept his hair long and his lights bright. But some of the best things he did in life were when nobody was looking and no one could see.
And to see the entire tribute video that was played at the funeral today, and to see more on the life of Jennings Osborne, just go to KATV.com.
Well, he lived a vibrant and eccentric life, and in death, loved ones remembered him the same way. Today, dignitaries, family members, and friends said goodbye to one of Arkansas's favorite philanthropists, Jennings Osborne. Christina Munoz has more.
Oh, my God.
It was a service fit for a king.
Now, only Jennings Osborne could outdo Elvis in terms of making Graceland a spectacular place at Christmas time. But then only Jennings could outdo Walt Disney at Christmas.
A unique funeral that included several rounds of standing ovations and lots of laughter.
His hair does the same thing in the humidity as mine.
As well as several walks down memory lane.
But for me, the thing that was most important was how uncommonly kind he was to my late stepfather, Dick Kelly, who played golf with me till he was almost 88 and then broke his hip and couldn't move around so much anymore. And they were laughing today that he used to take him to the Razorback games and park where he wasn't supposed to park, so Dick didn't have to go very far to get to his seat.
But the most poignant moment was when his only daughter, BREEZY, shared about the man she lovingly called Dadu.
Thank you for holding my hand my entire life. It was an honor holding yours as you entered the gates of heaven. You're never far from our minds and always in our hearts. Love, your little Beezer. And because Dad would want me to say it, go Hogs.
I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Christina Munoz, Channel 7 News.
He will be missed by so many, and to see the entire tribute video that was played at Jennings Osborne's service, you can log on to KATV.com.